everyone, and a very warm welcome to our workshop today. My name is Jess and I'm from Design School here at Canva. Thank you so much for joining us for a very exciting workshop today in collaboration with Facebook. Today we'll be learning how to launch a business from your mobile device. We'll explore how growing businesses are actually the ideal candidates to go mobile only. We'll learn how to leverage the power of the mobile Canva app and Facebook to launch and grow your business successfully. We are joined today by Renee from Canva and Yang from Facebook. Welcome, Renee. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about you?
Yeah, hey everybody, I'm Renee. I'm sitting in Sydney, Australia at the moment. I've been at Canva for 4 years now, and my passion is for all things mobile, particularly helping users all around the world grow their businesses from mobile. And I'm super excited to show you a few tips and tricks today. Over to Yang.
Thanks, Renee. Hi, everyone. I'm with the Creative Partnerships team at Facebook. I see that some of you are from Singapore, so that's where I'm also based, and I represent the APAC region and work with our global partners like Canva. So what I do day to day is to work with platforms like Canva to amplify our creative best practices for content on Facebook and Instagram. And I'm really excited to get this opportunity to speak with you today because helping small businesses grow is a very meaningful part of my job.
Fantastic. Thanks, Renee and Yang. We'll also be sharing some recorded excerpts from a recent video series created by Canva and Facebook, featuring Andrea, Canva's creative lead for digital partnerships, and Marta, creative strategist from Facebook. So let's dive right in and get started. First up, what is Canva? Canva is a free tool available on mobile and desktop, and we make it easy to design anything. Let's hear from Andrea about what you can do in Canva.
For those unfamiliar with Canva, we empower everyone to design with our easy drag and drop tool, helping millions design and create inspiring and engaging content. Canva has thousands of templates in various formats that can help your business supercharge your branding strategy, from creating engaging ads on Facebook and Instagram to printing beautifully designed posters and business cards. We've created a series of videos to bring you both best practices and practical tips for building and marketing your business from the ground up.
Great, we'll hear more from Andrea a little later on. We're also a company with a very ambitious mission to empower the whole world to design. And we're doing okay so far with over 55 million monthly active users, doubling in size every year in every country and in over 100 languages. But as our founder, Melanie, says, we're only 1% of the way there. And to follow on from that mission, we also want to ensure that everyone in every country around the world has a delightful experience on every device. So whether they're on mobile or desktop or moving between platforms, Canva should be easy to use and bring them joy while designing. With the relaunch of the mobile products earlier this year, we now have a seamless experience across devices, and we can ship new features on all platforms at the same time, which we're really excited about. So Renee, why is designing for mobile first markets so relevant right now?
Yeah, thanks, Jess. I think that question is very dear to me. The simple answer is that people live and breathe mobile. So this is where people are accessing your content. And I think a lot of people, even at Canva, thought that the mobile phone was just this sort of like on-the-go tool. But what we actually saw during the first global lockdown last year was that there was an increase in mobile usage despite people being holed up at home. And I think depending on the way that you look at it, this might be a good thing or a bad thing, but your phone is always with you. So even when watching TV, my phone is my second screen. If I see an ad, I'll look it up on my phone. I check my social media entirely from my phone. I order food, shop online, basically everything. And when it comes to doing work, like with Canva, I'll get a push notification that someone has shared a Canva design with me to collaborate on. And if I'm not sitting at my desk, I'm not gonna go and sit down at my laptop to do a small tweak. I just do it from my phone. And then when we think globally, There are a lot of mobile first or mobile only markets where people either don't have access to a computer or they actually choose to use their phone because that's what they're used to and it's easier and it's with them all the time. So when you're thinking about designing for mobile, I think often people's first touch point with your brand is going to be on their phone. So make sure your website, your emails, your social media content, even your restaurant menu needs to look good on a mobile device. And then when thinking about designing on mobile, you can create all of your assets in Canva from your phone and then even post to social media directly from the Canva app.
Awesome, thanks. I wonder if you have any insights around how often people come online.
Yeah, so I think this is a really interesting stat that's really stuck with me. So today, more than 1 million people will come online for the first time in their lives, and that's, you know, the next day and the next day, and they're in emerging markets, and they are also on using their phone. And I think that this resource that I got this from, it really helps developers and designers understand the challenges and the opportunities for building for these users. So these users have different levels of literacy and connectivity, which we always need to be thinking about when designing or producing our content. So yeah, just some useful things to keep in mind there.
Fantastic.
Also, I guess this is where your audience is. So like I was saying before, you need to be thinking about the different channels that you're using. So 70% of YouTube viewing happens on mobile, and 80% of people access their social media on their mobile as well. So if your content isn't made for mobile, it's not going to be a great experience for your community. And optimizing for mobile is also going to be better for your bottom line. When thinking about ads and things like that. Yang, you've probably got some insights to add to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So Renee, you spoke about YouTube viewing on mobile, and coming from Facebook, I also have to speak up for our platforms. And absolutely, this mobile first behavior is very true for our audiences as well, across Facebook and Instagram. And I think what would be really valuable for me to share is a little bit of research that is especially relevant for our business audience today. And it's pertaining to how different marketing can be on digital channels versus traditional channels like TV. Is a study that's coming from a very large research company called Nielsen. So it's nothing that's, you know, biased from Facebook's point of view. On this chart on the left, what you're looking at is the various advertising factors that can really drive sales for your business. So pink is representing branding, green is the creative content, and blue is media, which is how you set up your advertising campaign and how much you're spending on it. So what's interesting here is that if you look at the top bar, in traditional channels like TV, what they put into media is what defines success, because TV is all about reach, and the more reach you have, the better it drives your business outcomes. However, in digital channels, because we're able to get a lot more targeted with the audiences, we actually see that creative is far more important than media. So it's 56% versus 30%. So this is really good proof for why we need to improve creative quality in digital content, and especially in making it work for the mobile environment.
Wow, fantastic insights. So our mission in this workshop is to learn how to set up your brand in Canva and easily create branded content, then get set up in Facebook so you're ready to use your Canva creations in your first Facebook ad campaign. We'll be taking you through step by step with some videos and expert advice from Yang and Renee. You'll be able to ask questions as we go through. We'll take you through these steps. First, we'll look at what a brand actually is and how to define your brand. Then it's over to Yang to explore how to get set up in Facebook. Renee will take us through how to create with Canva on mobile, and we'll finish up showing you how to share your creations with the world quickly and easily. So let's dive in to part one and explore branding. So what is a brand exactly? When you hear the word, what do you think of? When I say brand or branding, what is the first thing that leaps into your mind? What do you think branding is? Do you think of the colors of Google, of the script of Disney, maybe the bite out of the Apple logo? These are all brands that we know and love. So very, very interesting, because we do think of logos when we think of brands, but your brand is so much more than your logo. Your logo doesn't define your brand. Yeah, it helps people recognize your brand, but your logo is actually just one piece of the brand puzzle. Your logo is a visual simplification of your identity. Equally as important are your brand perception, which is the gut feeling people have around your brand, the identity, so the colors and fonts you choose, as well as the brand experience, so the quality of interactions with your business throughout the customer journey. So let's dive deeper to learn more about why branding is important with Marta from Facebook.
Hi, Andrea. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Marta. I'm a global creative strategist at Facebook and Instagram, and I work primarily to scale the democratization of creativity to small businesses by empowering them with different creative solutions that can transform them from the businesses of today to the brands of tomorrow. So why branding is important to small businesses? Well, a consistent brand drives success on our platforms and drives business results. Essentially, better branding means bigger impact. If we think about all of the big globally recognized brands, they all began as small brands. So what is a brand and how do we define a brand? Well, a brand is a collection of associations in people's minds about a product, a service, an experience, or an organization. A brand is not just your logo, it's how consumers feel about you. It's how you talk, how you walk, and how you look. It's key to invest in consistency. Brands who have maintained consistency in how they present themselves in the world benefit from recognizability. Brand consistency, it's positively correlated with more trust from consumers. Here we can see an example of the multiple touchpoints that a consumer can have with a brand. From the digital space, their Facebook or Instagram accounts, to their website or app, their ad campaigns, the experience at the physical location, or even the rituals that they provide to consumers. All of them need to be consistent so that the experience that the consumer has is the best one as possible. To help you figure out your brand, we developed what we call the EPIC framework. The EPIC framework is composed of 4 main pillars. Existence, which refers to the creation story of your business, who you are, and it's a great place to begin defining your brand. Purpose includes your products or services. It's what you do and why you do it. And it's the meaning behind your existence of your business. Identity is the look and feel of your business, and this includes the visual cues that help people remember and recognize it. We will deep dive into this one a little bit more in a couple of minutes. And then the last one, it's connection, which refers to your relationships. And it's important to think about the language, the tone of voice that you use for your brand, and the rituals. We have an online course in the Facebook Blueprint website with all the details about these 4 pillars, but I will give you a high-level overview of some of them. Starting with the first pillar, your existence. Ask yourself these questions to describe how your business started. When did you launch? What was the problem that you were trying to solve when you started your business? How do you solve that problem now? What was your insight, or what did you decide to do differently? Here we can see additional questions that are focused on your audience, your business, and your personality. So think about who are your customers today? What are their personal priorities? Where are they located? Regarding your business, think about which brands in the same industry would you aspire to become, or which ones outside your category do you admire? Also, think about describing your brand values in 4 to 6 words. Last but not least, think about your brand's personality. Answer questions like, how old would your brand be? Which kinds of music does your brand listen to? Or what hobbies does your brand have? These are just some questions to get started that will help you define your existence of your brand. Moving to the second pillar, your brand's purpose. Here we can see a Mad Lib activity that will help you define your purpose in 1 line. For instance, hi, we are Downtown Dental. Our dental clinic is located in New York, and we provide premium dental services. We are really fond on public radio, travel, and matcha, and we really care about health, well-being, happiness, and personable service. This is just an example, but make sure that you follow the one for your business. I will skip the third pillar, which is identity, as we will deep dive into that one in a couple of minutes. And here we can see the last pillar, which is connection. The goal for this one is to help you establish a consistent brand voice to guide the tone of your communications. Is your brand serious or funny, formal or casual, or maybe somewhere in between, respectful or irreverent, matter of fact or enthusiastic? Here are just a few examples again, but I would encourage you to visit the Facebook Blueprint course around building your brand, which has all these activities and many more. Now that we have defined your brand, we will walk you on how you can also build your visual identity. which is the third pillar from the EPIC framework. I will break it down into simple concepts, and Andrea will show you how to bring it to life using Canva. Your brand's visual identity is the look and feel of your business. This includes the visual cues that help people remember and recognize it. You can communicate your brand's visual identity through your logo, your type, or your color that you use in the different customer touchpoints, from your physical location to your marketing materials and many more. Starting with the logo. This is your emblem, a symbol, a name or a mark of your brand. It will help you drive recognition by consistently using it in all of your content and ads. Moving to the typeface. This one expresses visually your identity via a key message. It's important to know the difference between type and font. A typeface refers to a family of fonts, while a font designates the weights, widths, and styles that constitute the typeface. Again, once you select the one that you feel it's more relevant for your business, make sure you keep it consistent along the way. And then finally, the third element that will define your visual identity is your color. This one will help you differentiate yourself quickly and capture the attention of your consumers. When defining your brand colors, it's key to consider the meanings. For instance, red is associated with enthusiasm and passion, yellow with optimism, green with growth and safety, blue with trust, and purple with inspiration. Once you have defined your logo, type, and color, you can also create a collage of images to help communicate your identity to people. Eventually, you will end up with something like this as a visual representation of your brand. Little Lemon is a made-up brand that Andrea and I will use to show you how easy it can be to bring branding to life on Canva.
Okay, fantastic. In that video, Marta shared a really useful resource for planning your brand, the EPIC framework. So you can find this resource and more here as part of Facebook's Blueprints course. So once you've identified and established your brand guidelines using the excellent EPIC framework from Facebook, it's time to interpret that into your visual identity using Canva. To help you do this, we've created a brand style guide workbook for you to keep. So you can access that here, and let's dive in and have a little look at what that looks like. So when you open it up, it will look like this. And firstly, it's going to take you through filling in your brand purpose and your values, and you can just highlight that text and fill it in. And then you can think about your brand archetype and choose one of those and just copy it in. And it's really about thinking about your brand like a person. What is the personality of your brand? And this helps you make brand decisions in the future. Think about where you sit on the personality spectrum. So you can drag those sliders to help refine your thoughts about your brand. And then we dive straight into the style guide. So think about the colors. And if you already know your brand colors and you know the little hex code that represents that color, you can go right in and add it here. Or you can use our little color tool to choose some colors that you like. However, if you really need some inspiration, we have an excellent resource. You can pop over to canva.com/colors. And there's 4 tools here that are really useful, but I'm going to pop into the color palette ideas. And there's loads of color palettes here to choose from. But if we're thinking about the little lemon one, I've chosen this one, which has the kind of lemony colors. And if you hover over any of those colors, it says copy, and it'll give you that hex code that represents that color. So you can copy that, you come straight back into your workbook, and you can paste that hex code in the box or even in the search box up the top, and it will take you to exactly that color. Now, this is your workbook, your reference. So you want to paste that hex code into the workbook as well, so you remember which color that is. And you can do it there for your secondary colors as well. So after you've done that, you might want to think about which fonts represent your brand. So I press T here to get a text box, and I'm highlighting that text and popping over to the font menu. And you can see there, I've done a search for some bold text, bold fonts, and I'm scrolling through and having a look. You can put in any search term that you can think of if you want fun fonts. Here's some suggestions. But if you haven't put in any search terms, there's some right there listed for you. There's handwriting, corporate, headings, sans serif, modern. Maybe a bold one would be good for a logo. So I'm going to click bold and then just scroll down and click on a few, and it'll update my text so I can see whether those are ones that I would like to use. So you can spend a while playing around here. And once you choose the one you like, say Livic bold, maybe I'll keep that one. And so I'll just type Livic bold there in my box. so that I remember which font that I chose. And then you can go through and do that for your secondary font, and also choosing a font for a word mark if you're going to use a font in your logo as well. Then you might like to select some imagery that really represents your brands. This is a bit of a mood board type activity. You can pop into the photos, you can type in for Little Lemon, we might type food, and then just pop some photos that reflect your brand into the little workbook there. And that's the kind of visual presence that you might want to have on your social channels and things. You also might like to select some graphic devices. So over in the Elements tab here, I have again searched for food. And I think I'm going for like the line drawing look with this. I'm going to scroll down till I see something that I like the look of and just start clicking and adding those elements. And the great thing is these magic recommendations, because if you choose a style, it's really good to stick with that same style. So the magic recommendations will show you similar types of elements, and you can then make sure that they match your visual style. So dragging in a few that appeal. And then finally, you want to upload your logo into the workbook. So simply clicking on the Uploads tab there and uploading your logo. So that's it for your workbook. You can do that in your own time after the workshop. And if you'd forgotten that resource that I mentioned, it's canva.com/colors. I showed you the color palette. This is the color wheel. That's really helpful for choosing different color relationships. So you can go down, you can choose tetradic or just two colors. Here it's analogous. If you want to learn more about color meanings to choose which one represents your brand, you can go and pop in here and look at all this information. You could read probably for the next month on all of the color meaning information in that resource. Okay, so once you've decided on your brand assets, it's time to set up your brand kit in Canva. Here is Renee to take us through how to do that.
Thanks, Jess. I just realized that fonts and typeface are different things. So I learned that. Apologies if I ever used them wrong today then. Brand Kit really helps us ensure all of our designs can easily stay on brand, and we make it really easy to apply the correct colors and logos and fonts in our design. So we've just seen a lot of how to do that on desktop, and now I'm going to show you how to do that on mobile. If we go to the next slide, we'll have the first video. So this is just how to access your brand kit. You'll see in that bottom nav bar, we have a menu. And then I'm just going to go up and select my brand kit there. This is going to be dependent on the team that I'm in. So if you do have multiple teams, you will have multiple brand kits. So now if we move over to the second video, we're going to add a logo. So I already had the logo saved to my device, and all I'm going to do is tap on that plus button, and then that way it's easy to add one in. It's always a good idea. You'll see that there's a few different options there, and that's really helpful when you've got different colors on your designs, and you can see that I've got some transparent backgrounds in there as well. And what this is here is because I've added a logo in, Canva will automatically pick up the colors in that logo, which can make making your color palette a lot easier. In this particular case, I know what colors I want, so I'm just going to dismiss that. And then choosing colors, we're going to move on to the next one. So in the first video, similarly, I'm going to hit the plus button, and I can choose colors in a few different ways. So here's from the color wheel. Then we've got the hex code, like Jess mentioned. And then there's also, here I am just typing it in. And then we've got the final one, which is around that color suggestions that Jess also mentioned. So Little Lemon, I thought green looked good, so all I did was type in green. And then I've got a bunch of different options there, or these are the ready-made ones already. Then in the next video, I'm also able to delete colors. So you could go a little bit wild, but make sure you're not tied into them. So I just tap on the edit button there, and then I can just deselect any of the ones that I don't want, and then they're all gone, and that's my brand kit saved. In the third video, we're going to be setting up fonts. So you can upload a font from your device, or you can just choose from all of the fonts in our library. So in this one, I'm choosing my heading fonts. I'm just going to scroll through, hit save, and then I'm able to use those in all of my device, all of my designs. And then I can also select fonts for my headings and subheadings and body text as well. Yeah, so just to give you an overview of Brand Kit is a premium feature. So that does sit behind Canva Pro subscription. But with free accounts, you can add 3 brand colors. So you can, if you're just sort of dabbling, then you can. And then when you upgrade to Pro, you can upload your logo, you can select colors on the basis of that logo and as many as you like, upload fonts, and then also select from our library as well. So to use my brand kit then, so now we've got it all set up, I'm going to move over to using it. So I'm just going to open up one of my designs, or you can create a new one. So I think we've used an Instagram post as an example. In the first video, we're going to change colors. So I'm using the styles panel here. So you can see in the bottom, I'm scrolling across to styles. And in there, you can see all of my brand colors there. And I'm just hitting shuffle. And then that way I can see in real time what the different color combinations actually look like. Or what I can do is just select the element, go to the color picker in the bottom nav there, and then just select one of my brand colors if I know what I want. Then in the next video, we're going to move over to using brand fonts. So I'm going to tap on the text in the editor, and then I'm going to go down and we'll see the fonts option. And then there I'm going to see my brand fonts in a separate section in the font selector. And then I've got 2 there, so I can just tap between the 2 and then see in real time which ones I prefer. And in the final demo, I want to add my logo to my design, so it's for, you know, ultimate recognition. So I'm going to go to the logos tab and then just select the logo that I want from there. And then I can resize it and move it to my design. I'll just see there. The logos tab will just be in the bottom there. If you don't have it, you are going to have to select or click on more, and then you'll see the logos there as well. And now over to Yang for part 2 with setting up Facebook.
Great, thanks, Renee. So in this second part of the session, we'll be talking through the basics of setting up Facebook. What I want to get into in just another slide would be how to set up your business presence on Facebook. But before I do that, I thought that I will also quickly explain some of the terms that we have been using and will continue to use in this section. So when we talk about channels, they're essentially platforms where you can engage with your audiences. And when we said things like content, that would be any image, video, text, etc. that you're using to convey your message. And we've been using maybe terms like paid, organic. So paid would be when you're acquiring new users or you're engaging and retargeting existing users through ads. So things that you're spending money for. But organic content is when you're just on your regular social media posting. You know, you're able to do it from your phone without having to boost any of that content, and you're engaging your audiences with that content. And the places where you can run your ads and you know, post your content, they are called placements. So the next thing, the first thing that you want to make sure you do when setting up Facebook is to create a Facebook Business Manager account. Go to business.facebook.com. Again, that's business.facebook.com, and click the big blue create account button on the top right. So this is an essential tool for businesses to share and manage your Facebook assets among multiple people efficiently and securely. There are some benefits to operating from the Business Manager, which is on the next slide. So the first thing is control. You'll be able to control and manage access and permissions for all of your assets in one place, with your team, with maybe some of the partners that you work with, or even vendors that you work with for creative content and for media, etc. The next thing is privacy. You're able to connect with people on Business Manager without having to share your own Facebook profile. So no one at work or none of your customers, they won't be able to see your information unless it's somehow set to public. Security as well is another benefit. So you can identify risks and see recommended actions that you can take to improve security for your accounts. And most importantly, for a small business, it's about time savings. So you can manage multiple assets and do batch actions at one time. And you can track performance across all of your business profiles and pages and ad accounts. On this slide, I have a checklist for how to get started. I wouldn't read through them because you're getting a recording of this session, so you can come back to this slide to look through all of these steps again. So they're really, really useful for, like, if you're completely lost on our platforms and you want to just be like, okay, what do I need to do as basics? As a business user, you're probably really busy and on the go a lot. So when you have set up an ad campaign, you can track results and measure success right from your phone. So today's topic is about mobile, growing from mobile, right? So you can track that on your phone with the Ads Manager app. For those of you who are new to Ads Manager, you can think about it as your one-stop shop for all things advertising with Facebook and Instagram. While boosting a post is still considered putting up an ad, Facebook ads that are created through Ads Manager can offer much more advanced customization options. And here I'll go through the elements of a campaign on Facebook and Instagram. So when you create an ad, you get to choose the marketing objective. That's the first thing. Then you also get to set what's your bidding and buying strategy. But I wouldn't focus so much on the second step as the third and fourth, which is defining the people that you want to connect with and the places where you want to show your ad and the ad format, so targeting and placement. You can come back to bidding and buying strategies when you become more familiar with how things are working with your targeting and your placements. And one more thing that I want to highlight about the difference between the mobile experience of setting up an ad campaign and the desktop experience is that not all campaign objectives will be available on mobile. Some may only be available when you create an ad on a desktop computer. And when you're talking about placements, depending on the objective that you choose when you create your campaign, your ads can appear on Facebook, on Instagram, on Messenger, and even Audience Network. But we highly recommend that you choose the automatic placement setting. So it's exactly known as that, automatic placements. And by choosing the setting in Ads Manager, it allows our delivery systems to make the best use of your budget. So that's allowing us to help you optimize your performance. However, you can also be very selective about your ad placement. So for example, if you use Canva templates to make a really good looking stories ad, you can specify that that's something that should go to stories on Facebook and Instagram. All right. And so the last step is after placement is that you want to be uploading your ad creative. So for a mobile environment, as we've been saying from the start, we encourage you to make your content much more mobile friendly, or what we call mobile first creative. In the next slide after this one, I'll be handing over to Andrew and Marta to explain more about designing impactful mobile first creative. Just gonna let the plane fly by. But first I wanted to share why it's important. So following the design techniques that you're about to hear will allow us to, will actually allow you to improve your brand outcomes by 27%. So that's brand recall, brand awareness, etc. All outcomes that are really good for your businesses.
As you know, most of the online world is now browsing and shopping on your mobile phones. So we would like to start by sharing the best practices for designing your ads that work on mobile. There are 3 mobile best practices. The first one is shorter in duration. 6 to 10 seconds tends to be the sweet spot for most high-performing direct response ads. But we have seen some longer ones that also perform well. And by longer, I mean 15 seconds. Design for sound off, just in case the user has their phone on no volume mode. However, we see that you can also delight with sound on, especially on Instagram stories. And then the third one is to frame your visual story in the right aspect ratio. We see that in newsfeed, 1:1 or square is the suggested ratio, allowing the call to action, for example, buy now, learn more, or other, to be visible on the screen. And for Instagram stories or Facebook stories, we recommend vertical format, 9:16.
Thanks, Marta, for the guidance. These 3 basic principles are really easy to remember and execute. Let me jump in with a demonstration of how you can edit your existing brand assets accordingly. Canva offers various transition features and timers to easily ensure your video is engaging and snappy. To trim a non-static content, click and adjust the timer to make the transition shorter. Please take note that Facebook ads perform better if it's kept to 15 seconds. As you can see, I'm dragging royalty-free music into the video template because it's nice to have, particularly for story formats. And to make sure the ad is still working without sound, I've added text overlays to make the ad more engaging. Canva makes it super easy to make sure your designs and content are optimized for different dimensions. Use our Magic Resize feature to change the dimensions of your design. I've also done one in 9:16 which you may know is the dimension of an Instagram story. You definitely want to maximize impact by adjusting your design to fit the whole mobile screen.
That's amazing. The resizing function is definitely something I would recommend from Canva, because we always recommend to our clients that they need to make ads for as many placements as possible. Once you have made different sized ads for feed and for stories, you can then leverage automatic placement in Ads Manager to let our algorithm optimize the campaign for better performance.
Yeah, and because these tips are really important, this is a quick recap of the 3 things that we talked about. You'll be able to watch the videos again, but of course, also feel free to come back to this slide here for the cheat sheet. So the first thing is to keep it really short. 6 to 10 seconds perform the best, but if you want to go longer, no more than 15 seconds. And if I can add here, if you're showing your brand and product prominently in the first 3 seconds, that's most ideal for enabling brand outcome, brand recall. The next thing is to design for sound off. As you probably also experience yourself, you're likely to be scrolling through your phone without any sound on. So you don't want to be reliant on any spoken words or any sound to get your message across. But if you do want to delight with using audio, that would be usually more suitable for Instagram stories, where maybe some people are more likely to be watching stories with sound on for the entertainment value. And the next thing is to get your aspect ratios right for each placement. So as mentioned in the video, 1:1, which is a square format, is suitable for feed, also 4:5 as well. But for stories, 9:16 is absolutely recommended. So it takes a tiny bit more effort, but if you use Magic Resize, which Canva has as an amazing feature, it's definitely worth it to adjust your creative to all the right sizes. Now back over to Renee to hear how we can do this on the mobile app.
Thanks, Yang. Yeah, so we did see how to do it on desktop, but I wanted to let everybody know that you can do all of those things on mobile as well. When you're in the editor, if you tap on your video, then you're going to see in the bottom nav bar there that there is a trim option, and then you just use your finger as the slider to cut down to time. And again, maximum 15 seconds, but a good 6 to 10 seconds is great. If you want to add audio, there is a purple plus button, which you can see there in the editor. If you tap on that, then there's an audio button, and I can search for things like happy music, summer music, anything like that. And you can actually just preview from that screen as well. And then once I found one that I like, then I'm just going to add that to my design. And then to access Magic Resize, which is something that we've been talking about quite a lot, there is that icon at the top of the editor. So what I can do is I can choose from one of the pre-selected options there. I can search for Facebook or search for Instagram, and I'll see the options. And a top tip is to tap copy and resize, because you don't want to put all of this work into creating that one and then resize it. You want to make another copy. So with this, I can make an Instagram post and resize that into an email header, into a Instagram story, and that's really easy to get started. So now we're actually going to be jumping into creating some designs on Canva Mobile. If you like, you can play along at home, but I'll be showing you these demos. So just to recap at the moment, so we've covered setting up your brand, setting up your Facebook and Instagram profiles. In order to make your profiles really stand out and to look more professional, as well as your designs, you're going to need some great product shots. And so let's just quickly jump into that. I think one of the things that's had such a big impact on small business is the fact that we just have these amazing, powerful cameras in our pockets at all times. So content creation just got a whole lot easier. You're able to use your phone with some good lighting to take a great product photo, throw it into Canva, remove the background of the image, and then you've got a great e-commerce or social commerce image. And these can be used in ads or your profile. And then you can take a product shot in your home or absolutely anywhere that inspiration strikes. So this idea of democratizing design and content and being able to do everything from your phone is a really exciting opportunity for us. So let's look at how we might actually put this into practice and take a perfect product shot on your phone. So we worked with Facebook previously in the UK on how to do this, and here's a short clip from that series.
First things first, we're going to set up our cutting board, props, and lay out our shot. We're using a nice wooden cutting board here to complement that home-cooked feel. Your props are going to allow you to visually reinforce your brand and any key messages. These takeaway containers remind our audience that Eusebi's offers great food to go. We're being intentional with our props. We want to use a few here, but still allow a clear focal point on the delicious food. It's all about balance. Remember, sometimes less is more. Next, we're going to set up our tripod to get a steady, non-blurry photo. You can add a ring light if you need for the perfect shot. If you're able to set up near a window, even better, but the ring light is a great way to fake sunlight. Now it's time to take our photo. We're going to take a few different shots to make sure we have some options and variety to select from. Play around with the angle and try different cropping. I like to leave a little room on the sides or the top and the bottom to allow me to easily add in things later. We can add our logo and copy without interfering with any important parts of the photo. We're going to open the Canva app to put the finishing touches on our ad. First, we're going to select a blank template so we can upload our image. Then we're going to select an Instagram story template for our ad, but you can use the template for whichever app or placement you'd like. Next, select Images. This will pull up your camera roll where you can select one of the images you just took. The final step is to select Text. Add your copy. We're adding in made from scratch from our table to yours, with swipe up to order as our call to action. Last, select an animation to turn your photo into a video with moving copy. And that's it. You're going to save this onto your camera roll so you can run it as an ad when you're ready.
Great. So when we're also thinking about your various pages on Facebook and Instagram, there are a few assets which are really important to get started. So we have the cover image, which you see there. There's the profile image and logo, which are obviously very important to your brand. We also have that on Instagram. And then we have highlight covers for Instagram stories, all of which you can create in Canva. So now we've gone setting up our brand, setting up Facebook and Instagram, great product shots. It's time to create some mobile first content. So there's obviously a heap of different content which you can create, but we're going to focus on high performing ads today.
Awesome. So we've learned about the importance of mobile first creative, but what if you're not sure where to start with creating your first mobile ad? Hopefully you've got some tips for us, Renee.
Yeah, we've got some inspiration to get people started. On the next slide, you can see a bunch of different Facebook ads. So Canva is a Facebook business partner. So if you go into Canva and you search for Instagram story ads or Facebook feed ads, the templates that you see are actually designed with Facebook's recommendations for high performing ads. So if you're a marketer or a small business owner, this is a really good place to start. Yang, you've probably got some stuff to add from Facebook's point of view as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing I want to speak to is what being a Facebook business partner means. So it means that we have already vetted and assessed that Canva has all of the right materials to ensure that businesses are implementing mobile first creative best practices in their ads itself. And in terms of how we're interacting with Canva to continue to make this happen, we bring together our creative strategists, so Facebook's creative strategists, with the template design team over at Canva. And we regularly exchange information on tested and proven tips on how to make ads perform better. So that really goes into the nitty-gritties, like, you know, where your text should be, where your fonts should be, what kind of fonts work better, what's the font size that works better, all of that really important things for enabling design.
And when thinking about your next ad campaign or social campaign, one thing I wanted to point out is that seasonal events are massive on mobile and much more than we see on desktop. I think that's because people are away for their desks and they're never really away from their phones, and they're using design to communicate, whether that's through social media or one-to-one. So when we think about this from a marketing point of view, seasonal campaigns are a really great way to engage your audience. And it is good to consider both the business and personal use cases. So for example, people start campaigns for Valentine's Day sales or e-commerce like way before the event, but then the personal use case doesn't actually kick in until the day or the day before, essentially when people are reaching out to loved ones. So we do tailor our marketing accordingly to the timing there.
Okay, so it's time to get hands-on and create a design. Let's hear from Marta, who shares some creative techniques for highlighting brand visibility and identity, such as the use of your logo, brand colors, and fonts. Then Renee will show us how to use these techniques to create a great-looking ad using Canva on your mobile.
Here's the first creative technique, playing with logos. In this example, we show the logo in the title card, and we make sure that it appears in the beginning of the video, ideally in the first 3 seconds. Because then it will help your audience recognize your brand very quickly. The second technique is what we call a logo bug. And in this case, you need to keep your logo all throughout the design to keep your brand memorable. The third technique is logo repetition. A great way to make your brand recognizable is by putting your logo repeatedly on your design. So this is another technique that you can use to ensure that people will remember your brand. Moving now on to type. We also have 3 techniques for you to consider for reinforcing type, starting with what we call a digital poster, which is the one you can see in the screen. This technique helps you say all your message at once. And in this example, highlighting your key benefits: fresh, healthy, on demand, and we deliver. The second type technique is what we call it focal point. And in this case, we try to create a prime focus by placing the message to the center. We progressively show the best words that describe your business. And then the third technique that we can use with type is the one that we use by telling your brand's story using a visual voiceover. So this one is similar to using subtitles. So far, we have seen a few techniques for logo and type. Colors are also another visual identity element, and we can also show some techniques on how to apply them. We see that colors make a great impact on your branding, so let's see how we can bring them to life using different techniques. The first one is the one we see in the screen right now, and this one, it helps you to keep, the consistency of your color by adding a frame all throughout your design. The second one is the one that we call dynamic frame, and the goal for this one is to make it a little bit more fun and playful. And the last color technique is what we call color grade. Filtering your video is also an effective way to keep your brand's colors consistent all throughout the frame. We hope these creative examples for how to reinforce your visual identity will serve as a great inspiration. In case you are thinking that they were all professionally done, Andrea will bring you behind the scenes on Canva to see how you can easily replicate them in a very few steps.
Thanks, Marta. So it's really easy. From the Canva page, look for the template you want to use by searching for the format or industry of your choice. Click Use this template to edit the design. You can then change the elements by navigating through the tabs on the left. To access your brand kit fonts and colors, click the Styles tab. You can also add effects to your text to make it look more interesting. And if you wish to change your images, simply drag your photos to the page. Duplicate the design if you want to add more pages. And as you can see here, I'm just editing the copy. To access your logo, click the Folders tab and look for your logo. Click the Animate button to add transitions to your design. You can also trim the time by adjusting the timer. Then there you go, a non-static ad design made in Canva.
Yeah, Yeah, so I am going to touch on a few different steps that Andrea and Marta went through. So in the first video here, we're going to use our brand colors. So I've started off with an Instagram template here. And again, I'm going to go to styles and hit shuffle. And this is where I'm going to cycle through some different options to find one that I like. Here we go. We can see all of the different options, and you can see that that's changing all of the elements on my page there. Cool. So I'm happy with that one. Then I'm going to move on to adding my logo, and just where Andrea was talking about, there's that side panel on the left with all of the tabs. It's exactly the same on mobile. It's just flipped to the bottom. So here I've found my logo. I'm going to add it to my design, and I'm just going to resize it and place it there, and I'm happy with that. So now it is time for me to change my fonts. And I don't have a lot of text on this image, but I do have that bold 100,000 there. So I'm going to tap on that. I'm going to hit fonts. And again, like we saw before, my brand fonts are saved in a special section on the fonts area. So I'm going to choose between the two that I've got there. I found one that I liked and I'm happy. So now I'm kind of happy with that initial design, but I do want to have that multi-page video effect that we saw in the other one. So now that I'm happy with it, I'm just going to add other pages. So in this video here, I have tapped on the page there, just sort of on the background. And you can see the page selector there where it popped up where it was one. And now I go into this page view and I can just hit duplicate. And I want to have 3 or 4 different pages in this design. So I'm just going to duplicate them all now. And now what I want to do is I want to animate some elements just to add that sort of like, you know, visual curiosity and draw attention to it. So with this, I'm going to animate text. I can animate text and I can animate individual elements on my page, plus I can animate whole pages. So this is me just kind of cycling through and finding one, which I think is going to stand out the most in the feed. And we do have a lot of free animation options, plus also some pro ones as well. So I've animated my text and now I'm choosing something that I want for my individual elements on the page. And the very cool thing is that I can just tap that checkbox that says do it across all pages. So that way I've got that visual consistency and it's not too jarring for people. So that's me just playing around. So now I'm pretty happy with the design. I am going to move on to animating the various pages. So these are sort of like the page transitions, and that's what's going to be great and to draw people's attention. So with this, what I'm doing is I'm tapping on the page. I can change the page duration or the animation duration like Marta mentioned. And here what I'm going to do is choose the different animation styles. So this is where you can see sort of everything on the page animates between them. So we've got plenty of different options there as well.
Okay.
So yeah, so then once I've kind of put all of that together, I have the option to preview. So you can see in the image on the left there is a little sort of play button in the top bar, and that's where I can tap to preview. That's going to play through everything. That's going to play music if I've added music. I'm basically going to see exactly what it looks like. Once I'm happy with it, then I'm going to hit download, and then this is my final product. I'd like to think it's not quite as good as the one that you saw in the demo, but I did try. So once we're happy with it, now I think we're going to hand over to Jess to talk about publish.
Fantastic. So to recap so far, we've covered creating your brand identity, setting up your brand kit in Canva, setting up your Facebook account, and creating on-brand ads in Canva. It's been action-packed. Now it's time for the last step, publishing your great designs to share with the world. So Renee, how can we publish our designs straight from Canva?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways. I think it's also going to depend on whether you're going down the organic route. So if you just want to post to your feed or if you want to go through ads. But with the Canva mobile app, you can publish directly to Facebook, and that's Facebook stories or Facebook feed. And you can do that across mobile and on desktop. So in the next slide, we'll watch a video there. So once I'm happy with my design, then I can choose to publish to a Facebook page. I can even write in a description and choose which sort of file type I want to display it as. And then that will, once I've connected my accounts, and that's going to post to Facebook. But what we can also do on the next slide, you'll see, is publish directly to Instagram as well. So again, you can choose between stories or feed, plus you can also choose between your personal and your business accounts. So yeah, and again, you can do this right from your phone. So here you're just going to select your business account. You can write in what you want to say, and then magically it is going to post to Instagram. One thing which we've launched this year, which we're exceptionally excited about, is also scheduling a post if you have an Instagram business account. And this is a pro feature. So you could create a week or a month's worth of content in Canva and then schedule it, and it's all just going to go out. And that way you can sort of do it all in one hit. So I'm going to pass over to Yang now to describe how to switch to a business account.
Yeah, so since we're talking about publishing to Instagram, you want to make sure that you're tracking and monitoring how these posts that you're doing are performing. So when you switch to a business account from a personal account on Instagram, you'll be able to use business limited features. And what I mean by that is you're able to access insights to check on your account's performance in terms of traffic and engagement, as well as detailed information about how your followers look like and how they're interacting with your posts and stories. You can also communicate directly with followers using Instagram messages, post comments, and interactive stickers as well. And finally, you're going to be able to use features that drive conversions. So from Instagram itself, you might be able to boost the content that you had previously scheduled to post from Canva. And you might be able to boost that as an ad with shopping tags and with even links and stories if you have over 10,000 followers.
So in short, you can do it all on mobile. And we've covered a lot today. So we have gone through our list that we had at the beginning of the session: creating your brand, setting up Facebook, creating with Canva on your mobile, and now we know how to share. So it's time to wrap up our session, and don't go, because we have a whole swag bag full of resources for you to get more inspiration. So starting with some of the videos that you saw today with Marta and Andrea, you can find those here in way more detail. So that was a whole series, the SMB Bootcamp, and I do encourage you to go and have a look at that, because it's basically a lot of the content that we did today, but a whole lot more and even more in depth. You might also be interested in our marketing toolkits, which you can find at canva.com/business-resources. And these are all kits that contain templates for things like mobile first websites, social media campaigns, and way more. And they're all themed similarly, so you can create an entire kit quickly and easily. We also have this fantastic series on YouTube featuring Ronnie, where we cover everything from the basics to making your designs move to increasing your productivity with Canva Pro. So check out that series of masterclasses. And that series is also available in Spanish as well. And if you'd like to find out about more webinars and also more courses on things like social media marketing as well, there are loads of courses on Design School. So designschool.canva.com. And you can see all sorts of content, including, if you pop down to the bottom, live events, and that's where you'll see all of the webinars scheduled for the month ahead. So I would like to take this opportunity to say a huge thank you to both Renee and Yang for jumping on board to be with us in this webinar today. It's time to say goodbye. So I'll hand over to you, Yang, for a final goodbye. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, of course, it's been my pleasure. Thank you.
And also to you, Renee, thank you so much for coming on board and sharing all of the mobile goodness with us today.
Thanks, everybody. I'm excited to see some beautiful new brands out in the world.
Yeah, and we
yeah, absolutely. And we look forward to seeing you again at another Canva Space webinar. Goodbye.